Hi everybody, today I'm here to answer more of your questions, so let's get right into it. Once you are married, are you going to change your last name or are you going to stay Kathryn Morgan? Great question. I am going to publicly keep Kathryn Morgan. It's just easier, everything now says Kathryn Morgan, and anytime a professional like that tries to change their name, it's just too much. So everything will be Kathryn Morgan publicly, but privately, as a person, as a citizen, I am going to change my last name and I will go by Kathryn Young. Hence our hashtag Forever Young, Forever Youngs, and foreveryoungswedding.com and all that kind of stuff. That will be my new last name, but publicly, as far as you guys are concerned, I will still be Kathryn Morgan. If a primarily Vaganova trained dancer is auditioning for SAB, what would the main differences be at the bar? I noticed that Grand Pliés and videos of Balanchine trained dancers are different than the way our school teaches. Also, is it best to try to adapt to the Balanchine version for the audition or do the moves the way the student has learned? Fabulous question. In terms of auditioning for SAB, unless in the class they specify, I need to see a straight back leg pirouette, I need to see whatever, do what you have been trained, because at the audition they're looking for potential. They're looking to see how your technique is, how your talent is, are you musical. But unless they say tombe pas straight back leg pirouette, I would stick to what you know, because you want to show them you can turn, you can, dance, and that you feel comfortable. Because once you get to the school, they will expect the straight back leg. But unless you've been doing like that kind of pirouette in class, do what you know, because at the audition you don't want to be falling out of a turn just because you're trying to do the straight back leg, for example. So I would definitely stick to what you know in the audition. However, once you get to SAB for the summer course, they will expect the Balanchine style. However, in my experience, when I went there for the first time, I had no Balanchine training whatsoever. Zero. But I learned it over the summer just by practicing, just by doing what they asked, like the turn. So you will learn it once you get there. So don't stress too much about it. I would start to prepare if you found out you've gotten into the school, but it's not a huge thing. You will learn it once you get there, because I had zero experience with Balanchine. And then I ended up joining the New York City Ballet. So up to the summer course, start preparing. Don't stress about it. The biggest thing with SAB is fast. You've got to be able to move fast. Quick petit allegro, quick tendus, quick dégagés. So start working on that. Start building your inner thigh strength. Pirouette from a straight back leg. They will demand that in the summer course and get really mad at you if you don't. And then otherwise, just everything bigger. Bigger movements, bigger traveling. But most importantly, musicality. If you do 3 pirouettes and land off the music, they will be very upset. They'd rather see 2 beautiful pirouettes and finish dead on the music, because SAB and New York City Ballet's philosophy is the music is your guide. We do not adapt the music for ourselves, we adapt to it. So you must be on the music, big dancing, and be able to move quickly. Those are the main things, I would say. Everything else you'll learn while you're there. Have you ever done a ballet exam? No, I have never done a ballet examination. I have no idea what they include. Do you do like pre-choreographed combinations? Do you know the combinations going in? Somebody please leave me a comment and tell me how ballet exams work, because I have no clue. Or is it just like a class that you're judged on? Help me. Please help me out. Leave me a comment if you've done a ballet exam. Let me know what they're like, because I've never done one in my entire life. What brand and style were your first pair of Pointe shoes? Wow, they were Repettos, and the reason I wanted the Repettos were because they were the pinkest of all of them. They're like literally, at least back when I went on Pointe, they were bubblegum pink. Like, ooh, mommy, I want those. Literally. So that's why I wanted Repettos. Now I would not ever wear a bubblegum pink shoe. But they were Repettos, and I don't remember the size. I have no idea, but they were the bright pink Repettos that did not look good on me, but I wanted to wear them anyway. Which is a great tip for all of you. Just because you want to wear a certain brand doesn't mean it's right for you. If your entire class is in Freeds and you think you have to be in Freeds because that's the it thing to do, but they don't work for you, why are you going to sacrifice your dancing for that? Don't feel like you have to be in a certain brand. choose a brand that works for you. Do you have any tips for being afraid of certain steps in ballet? Sometimes I'm scared of doing pirouettes on pointe. I think the key to fearing steps is honestly repetition. The more you do it, the more it gets ingrained in your muscles, ingrained in your body, the better off you're going to be, because ballet is 90% mental, you know, especially on pointe. It's going to harm your technique if you're like this all the time. You're going to probably mess up a pirouette. So I think the thing is to kind of repetition, but also back it down a little bit. All right, you're scared of pirouettes. Work on releves. Go to fourth, come up to the pirouette position in passe, and come back down. Don't turn. You know, if there's a step that's giving you a hard time, take it, make it a little, simplify it. You know, just work on the releve. If it's a jump that requires a lot of beats, work on a minimal amount of beats and then build up to it. That's the best way to do it. It's kind of like, you know, anything you learn. You can't just go 0 to 180 like that. You know, you've got to build up to it. Anything scary in life, you've got to practice. The gymnasts don't just vault day one. You know, they've got to do it by itself, do it without the vault, go into the foam pit. You know, you've got to build it up. Same with ballet. If there's a step that's scaring you, back it down. All right, pirouettes, I'm just going to releve. And just try that. And do that over and over and over till you feel comfortable. Then do a half a pirouette. Face the front, half a pirouette, face the back. Once that feels good, then start adding turns. You see what I mean? And that goes for any step. Because once it gets in your body, once it gets in your head that you can do it, you'll be able to. Could you talk about looking for a new ballet school, what you should look for? That's a great question. When looking for a new ballet school, you need to look for 3 main things. 1, read the faculty bios. Have they been professionals? Where did they dance? How are they trained? Is it a bio that looks a little good to be true, or do they have actual training experience? Nowadays, with websites, you can go and search everything. And if a school does not have faculty bios, big red flag. Second thing, look at the schedule. How many classes is your level going to be getting? All good ballet schools will put class schedules on their website, show you exactly how many classes a week you're going to get. If a school does not do that, another red flag. Make sure for advanced dancers, if you are above the age, I would say, of 13 or 14, you need to be taking class 5 to 6 times a week. So if there's an advanced class twice a week, probably not a serious ballet school. The third thing is performance opportunities. I would really make sure you're getting at least 1 performance opportunity, like a Nutcracker, every year. You know, if a school never lets you perform, you never get that on-stage experience, it's going to be a hindrance in your career, because remember, being a professional dancer, you're going to be on stage in front of people. And if you never have that experience, you're going to have major problems, because being a ballet dancer is not about being in the studio. It's about being on the stage, how you perform in people, how you handle pressure. You know, you're not going to spend your career only in a studio. You'll be there a majority of the time, but your goal is to be on the stage. So make sure you're getting some stage experience. You know, all the big ballet schools, all the good ballet schools have some sort of performance opportunities. You know, like SAB has the workshop. The students get to perform with New York City Ballet, for example. It doesn't have to be 18,000 performances a year. Just make sure you're getting some sort of opportunity outside the studio. Other than that, it's a matter of seeing if you fit, you know. Make sure you actually go to the school before you decide to enroll. You don't want to kind of do it sight unseen, you know. Ask if you can take a tour of the school. Ask if you can observe a class. That way you'll get a feel for how things are run, how the teachers are, how the students are. Do they look miserable? Do they look excited? How is the talent level? Remember, if you're the best in the class somewhere, you probably need to go elsewhere, because you always want to be pushed. You always want to be, you know, being challenged. Being the best in the class and having everything be easy and not being challenged, you might need to change schools. So see how the talent level is. So look at the bios, see if they have the class schedule and what kind of classes you'd be getting, see if there's a performance experience, and go to the school to see it before you enroll. A lot of you are asking me about pointe shoe brands and what pointe shoes for you, and I'm thinking of doing a pointe shoe guide video. I'm not the greatest on the different kinds of brands, but I could kind of give you a guideline as to what you're looking for. If you're interested in like a pointe shoe guide video, let me know. What are your pet peeves in the ballet world? Ooh, Number one, this really, really irritates me. Dancers who will go for the third pirouette or go for the big extension and be off the music. That to me is a sign of an amateur dancer. Looking professional means being on the music at all times. If you cannot do 3 pirouettes and be on the music, don't do it. Why are you doing it? Why are you going to do the big, huge jump and land off the music? That irritates me. When I'm watching a performance or watching an audition and I see a student dance off the music, I can't handle it. I look right past you. Because that is the fundamental thing of looking professional, is being on the music. Peter Martins would always say to us, don't get greedy. If somebody did 3 pirouettes and landed off the music, he says, you're being greedy. Don't be greedy. You can't be greedy. You know, you're not always going to be the primo star and have the conductor follow you. You know, at City Ballet, conductors rarely looked at us. We would look at them for certain cues, but otherwise we had to follow them. They didn't look at us. We had to look at them. So for me, musicality is key. Another pet peeve of mine is when young dancers who have not been professional, who have not had a experience, start giving advice on the internet that I know is really bad. Like, oh, to improve your turnout, sit in the frog position and have someone stand on you. I'm like, red flag, no. So that irritates me because, you know, it's a young girl giving advice, whatever, but that's so dangerous. Do not ever have anyone stand on you when you're trying to stretch. Please, huge disclaimer, no standing. So when a young dancer who's just gotten their pointe shoes starts giving pointe shoe advice, or you know, a young dancer who has not had experience and starts giving bad stretching advice, that I'm like, some people might listen to you because you have amazing feet, because you have amazing extension, and then hurt themselves. That's my other big pet peeve. So musicality and young dancers who have had very little experience giving really bad advice. A lot of you in the last video, the quick feet warm-up, asked me why to do sickling exercises. Doesn't that mean it's counterproductive or whatever? No, because you want to strengthen both sides of your ankle, because the stronger those muscles are, the less you will sickle. It's when the tendons on the outside of the ankle are so loose that we end up sickling. So doing the sickle exercises is strengthening that outer, those ligaments and tendons. Same thing with the winging. So that you'll have 2 strong sides of your ankle, so it will prevent you from sickling and from winging too much or rolling on your feet. That's the point of that exercise. Great question though. All right, the last question. A lot of you, I'm literally going down the comments here. Many of you asked, how do you make a ballet teacher like you, or how you deal with a teacher that doesn't like you? The thing to remember is in your career, you're going to have many teachers. You're never going to just have one. And if you're at a school where you're just having one, I encourage you to start maybe looking for a place to have more than one, because you need multiple opinions. You need different eyes looking at you. You know, you can't just study with one teacher your whole career, because you need more than one opinion. So remember, you're never going to just have one. There's going to be teachers that like you. There are going to be teachers that don't. The key to focus on, instead of I have to make her like me, I have to make her like me, I have to make her like me, flip it around. How can I be a better student? I can pay attention more. I can apply all the corrections she's giving me. You know, is she telling you something over and over and over and you're not getting it? You're not applying it. That aggravates a teacher. If they have to tell you something many times, they're going to start to just ignore you because you're not getting it. So make sure you're applying your corrections. Work correctly. Another thing that frustrates teachers is sacrificing placement for leg height. Like getting a développé up but having your hip out or twisted or whatever. A teacher would rather see it at 90 degrees perfectly in line, because that shows you're serious and not just worried about getting your leg high. I've said this before 1.5 million times. Make sure you're doing the combinations the way the teacher gives it. I'm telling you, you guys, nothing frustrates a teacher more if they specify arms and heads and a student doesn't do it. It's so irritating because it means you're focusing on yourself in the mirror and not listening to the teacher. And so that is not going to make them like you. So make sure you're being a good student. It's not all about you and how you look in the mirror and you're disregarding teachers. So apply those corrections, do the combinations the way they're giving them. You know, don't sacrifice placement for height. Another thing is to not be a pushy student. I really don't like when I'm giving a combination in the center and there's a student right up behind me where I feel like I can't move. That annoys teachers. You know, kind of step back, give the teacher their space. We will see you. You know, I promise, you know, going across the floor in groups of 3, I will see you. You don't need to be smack up against me when I'm giving combination. To me, that just shows you're more worried about yourself than what I'm saying. So make sure you're really listening. Just focus on how you can improve yourself as a student instead of worrying about them liking you. And if they still don't like you, then maybe, you know, they're having a bad day or something about you, you know, irritates them. Or here's another one. They're jealous of you. That's another one that students don't realize. Some ballet teachers are frustrated with their own careers and they get really jealous of talented students. So they almost like backhand compliment and appear that they don't like them, when in fact they're jealous. So remember that it might not be anything you did. If you are being that good student and listening and paying attention and all that kind of stuff and being right with your placement, it might have nothing to do with you. You know, don't worry so much about making that one teacher like you. Focus on how you can improve your career, how you can improve your technique, you know, doing what you need to do, auditioning when you can, and then getting accepted places. That's the way to further your career. You know, if you spend so much energy worrying about that teacher liking you, you're gonna probably harm your own technique. So kind of just flip it around. Try not to worry, but make sure you are being a good student, applying the corrections, etc., and you should be totally fine. All right, you guys, fabulous questions as always. I couldn't get to them all as usual, but I will try and keep these Q&As up a little more often. However, we always do one on the vlogs on the second channel. So I've done a million Q&As over there if you want to hop over there and check it out. If you missed my video on makeup for ballet auditions, it is right there. You can click it to watch. Love you so, so much, you guys. Coming on Friday, my skincare routine, majorly requested. So I will see you then.